Passive investing or index investing has become really popular, and for good reason. There's been really fantastic returns around some of the indexes out there. It's a cheap way to invest and a great way for you to get some exposure to a broad diversification of stocks or bonds or a mix of stocks and bonds. What I wanted to clarify is that there's some more complexity that comes along with it and what exactly an index fund does. So an index fund really is focused on rules. So there's a set of rules. This index will hold X, and it holds exactly that regardless of what's happening. That doesn't mean that it necessarily does a logical choice. You're buying rules, you're not buying logic. What I mean by that, so if you think about an S&P 500 index, and we'll say this is the S&P 500, an index fund would say we'd buy all 500 of the companies in here. So if there are 500 little dots, we're going to buy every single one of them in the same weighting as what the 500 largest companies in the US is. So we will buy every single one of them, as opposed to like an active manager who would say we want this one, and we want that one, and we want this one, but we don't want that one, and definitely don't want this one. Right, so an index fund has to buy all of them. There are scenarios where that makes a ton of sense, and there's scenarios where there are some drawbacks there. So every so often you hear about like a zombie company, and what a zombie company is, think of like a biotech startup that developed a drug, passed phase 1, passed phase 2, went public, raised a ton of money, made it onto an exchange, and then failed phase 3 of testing, is just going to sit there and wait to go bankrupt. Well, no one in their right mind would logically want to buy that sort of thing, but if you're only driven on rules, you would have to, right? If it's large enough that it falls into the index that you're holding, you will hold that thing until it changes. So maybe there's less risk when you're dealing with like a larger index. If you're dealing with like a large cap index, difficult to be one of the 500 largest companies in the US, but a small cap index or an emerging markets index or global, like if you're buying just rules, knowing what's under the hood can be really advantageous, because sometimes choosing logic over choosing rules might make sense.